Yeah, I really don't care. With all due respect. Yes.
Who was governor in '97?
Cayetano.
Thank you.
Yep. Cayetano. And Mazie Hirono. Actually, I heard from a reliable source there was a meeting with Mazie Hirono after no, not, it was before the raid. It was after the presentation at the Hawaii Prince Hotel. The big landowners was basically telling the state, Mazie Hirono, we go down, you go down. You better stop this. And that's when I got a call from my cousin, Keanu, get ready, something's coming down. Boom, we get raided. Racketeering, theft, tax evasion.
Since we have all the information out there, have we ever taken to international court and taken on the United States?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where we're going to get to next. See, now you guys are getting the right theory, because now you can start predicting what's coming down the road. Because what we have to do is we got to expose. You know, it's almost like we're like the two women who were kidnapped in Chicago and were left in that house, and nobody in this neighborhood even knew that. But once they knew, then somebody helped. So our community is not only here that needs to know this, but also the international community called the Family of Nations, because we still have treaties with them, whether they like it or not. Yeah. You don't have to agree to a treaty. No, you got the treaty. The question is, are you in violation of that treaty now? Because you're now recognizing the United States illegal presence. That's liability. But again, they're ignorant. They never know, because I didn't know. So how do you approach that? Again, education. And I found that with the PhD, it allows you to enter arenas that you wouldn't otherwise be able to enter at that level, as well as locally. Yeah. So it did, in fact, get me into many areas. So you guys want to get into what happened next? Okay. Kaho'okahi. What time is my flight?
9:50.
9:50. So we can leave here by 9. Okay, so we got 40 minutes. We're going to run through this one. Now all this information is online too. There's information up there online that you guys can watch. It's not like you're getting it right here. If you go to hawaiiankingdom.org/blog, there's a Molokai presentation I gave that has a lot of this information as well. Yeah? So a lot of times you can watch it over and over. I give presentations yearly at the Keho'okahi Sheraton Hotel. Yeah? So that's online too. So it's good to just watch. Yeah? Okay. So here's what we did back in 1995. Well, actually, when I retired, 1994, because we're going to put it in action. So here we know that the sovereignty still exists, right? You guys all agree with me? Okay.
Yes.
Still exists. What we need to do is fill that void here. We got to create a government, because only governments can represent countries at the international level and locally. But how do you create a government that's not there? It was illegally overthrown. You need a monarch. Where's the monarch? The illegal kuleana died without a successor. The last one was Kuhio. Yeah? Now these guys aren't even Kamehameha line. They're not. They're Keaweaheulu line. Started with Kalakau. He was elected. That's the new line, the new stirps. Okay? Which created David Kawananako, Ka'iolani, yeah? Liliko Kalani. These were the successors. Once the last heir apparent died, who was Kuhio, 1924, Pau. So if it's Pau, then who can serve as a monarch? Well, history will tell us. So what happened when Kamehameha V died in 1871, 1872? You have to have an election, right? And Lunalilo was elected. Well, let's back up. Who called the election? Did they just show up? No. That's an executive function. It's not a legislative function. The executive, who convenes the legislature today under US law? Do they just show up? The governor. The governor calls the elections. Yeah? They run it. That's an executive function. Right? And then the governor opens the session. And then the governor closes the session. That's the same thing happened in the kingdom. The monarch directs the Minister of the Interior and the Minister of Finance to begin the election. But if you have an election that already took place, because they meet every 2 years, it's biennial, okay? There's still, you have representatives that were elected with nobles that were appointed. Those representatives have a 2-year term. That's what happened when Kamehameha V died. The legislature was out of session. So all they did was reconvene the legislative body, right? The legislative body, to elect by ballot in special session, Lunalilo. But who called them in? See, that's another good question, right? The cabinet. The cabinet is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Interior, the Attorney General, and the Minister of Finance. These 4 officers make up what is called the Cabinet Council. The Cabinet Council, according to Hawaiian law, is a regency. A council of regency. Regency is defined as an entity that is not the monarch, but serves in the absence of a monarch. That's a regent. Does it make sense? So that's why the cabinet convened the legislature. It's all there in our records. But see, you got to know Hawaiian law. You got to understand that to know that's how this game is played. So what we're going to do is we need to create an acting government in spite of the fact that we can't reconvene the legislature because nobody's here. You got all these empty offices. What we're going to do is we're going to assume the chain of command. We're going to use the word acting. See, I learned that in the Army. A private can become a lieutenant. He has to assume the chain of command. He's an acting lieutenant. He's not a commissioned officer. And when a properly commissioned officer comes, he goes back down being a private. Right? That's how it works. Acting. Acting. So acting is limited according to law. Because if you're going to assume the role of government, that's treason. Yeah? Self-proclaimed. But what if nobody's around? Well, there are certain rules that got to be followed. This is common law. Actually came out of an example that took place in Africa. The Governor General in an African colony was killed by the natives, and the British subject assumed the role of acting Governor General. He was put on trial for treason in the 1960s. He was found not guilty because he did it by necessity. And they came up with these thresholds that need to be accomplished, yeah, and not violated. This same case was also used recently in the Fiji coup. There was a coup in Fiji. This guy Spike took it over. Spike was put on trial. And Spike did not meet the threshold. He was convicted of treason. So it says here, according to the court, an imperative necessity must arise of the existence of exceptional circumstances not provided for in the Constitution for immediate action to be taken to protect or preserve some vital function of the state. Okay, so that's the first threshold. That's got to be fulfilled. Second, there must be no other course of action reasonably available. Third, actions taken must be reasonably necessary in the interest of peace, order, and good government. It must not impair the just rights of citizens under the Constitution. And it must not have the intention of consolidating power. So this is what we knew back then. So how are we going to become an acting government without violating that? Even though we're going north, everybody going south. Because our records can be used against us. When you folks all wake up to this information, you can now come back and go, oh, Keanu, look, he just committed treason. Issue an indictment. A real one. So under Article 33 of the Hawaiian Constitution, it says, it shall be lawful for the king at any time when he may be above or absent from the kingdom to appoint a regent or council of regency who shall administer the government in his name. And should a sovereign decease, leaving a minor heir, because one is in the future to be elected, and having made no last will and testament, the cabinet council at the time of such decease shall be a council of regency until the legislative assembly, which shall be called immediately, may be assembled, and the legislative assembly immediately that is assembled shall proceed to choose by ballot a permanent regent or council of regency. So you see how that's all there? This is what we need to know in Hawaiian law, because we got to come up with a game plan. And you know what this is? You guys remember Dick Tomey in the Muddle Huddle? That play? He didn't break the rules, but everybody goes, what the hell did he do? See, that's when we used to win, Dick Tomey. So we're going to have to assume the position of the Cabinet Council, these 4 officers. And you know how we're going to use it? Well, here's the Cabinet officers. The Cabinet shall be the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Interior, Minister of Finance, and the Attorney General. Okay, that's the Cabinet. We're going to use the partnership statute to assume the role of the Minister of the Interior. Remember, whenever any 2 or more persons shall carry on business in this kingdom, it shall be incumbent for such persons to fall in the office of the Minister of the Interior, meaning he regulates general partnerships. So we're going to come up through that channel by law. So we're going to create a company. At the same time we created perfect title, we're going to create what is called the Hawaiian Kingdom Trust Company. And it specifically says that the company will serve in the absence of acting for and on behalf of the Hawaiian Kingdom government, hereinafter referred to as the absentee government. And it is further agreed by the same that due to the requirements of the Bureau of Conveyances in the absence of the Hawaiian Kingdom government, a foreign notary commissioned by a foreign government is required for registering this deed. They do this involuntarily and against their will. You see how we're protecting ourselves as we're walking through this maze? And the thing is, nobody knows what we're doing except me and Donald Lewis, who's swimming north when everybody's going south. We gotta set the paper trail. So what basically happens is we create this company to actually regulate perfect title. We have to act like the Minister of the Interior to make sure perfect title follows the law because of the 1880 statute. So the trust company is going to act like the absentee government for perfect title. Not for everybody, for perfect title. But the problem was perfect title partners, Hawaiian Kingdom Trust partners, were the same. Kind of conflict of interest, though. We kind of regulating ourselves. So it's decided that I would sell my interest for $1 in both my 1/2 interest for $1 to both the Hawaiian Kingdom Trust Company and Perfect Title. And a simultaneous transaction would then take place between Donald Lewis and his daughter, Kana'iolowalu, where she will get 1%. That way the partnerships are maintained without them going into sole proprietorships, because we're trying to stay in the co-partnership law. You see the game we're playing? I swear this is like playing chess, you know? And nobody's watching us. We just gotta make sure they can watch us later when they figure out all this, because guess what? Anybody can go to the Bureau and go read that. It's all public record. We're not hiding anything. So once I'm out, then the trustees, Kana'iolowalu and Donald Lewis, can now appoint me, being private, as a regent, acting regent, regent pro tem, to serve in the absence or the role of the trust company with the Interior Department. So it says here, know amen by these presents that the Hawaiian Kingdom Trust Company, a general partnership established and existing under and by virtue of the laws of the Hawaiian Kingdom, blah, 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 has appointed David Keanu Sai to the office of regent, entrusted with the vicarious administration of the Hawaiian Kingdom government during the absence of a monarch, as of the first day of March, 1996, and shall hold office until such time as the legislative body shall convene to confirm or amend this appointment. So you see how we're all in line. Okay. Now, what I gotta do is I gotta start filling in the other 3 positions so you can become a cabinet. So, appointed a Minister of Foreign Affairs, acting. Minister of Finance, acting. And you know that seal right here? That is the exact seal that was used in 1893. Because we have to use everything, even the format, the words, because we have to play that game. And also the Attorney General. So we have them all. Now it's a council. So the purpose of the acting government as officers de facto, number 1, is to expose the prolonged occupation of Hawaii. Expose. Second, to ensure that the United States complies with the laws of occupation, which includes the Hague and Geneva Conventions. And to provide an effective transition of the de jure government in accordance with international law. That's what we do. I'm not telling people we're collecting taxes. No, no, no. This is our job. So we came up with a strategic plan. Yeah? You gotta have a plan when you fight. You don't just go in and give them. Yeah. You do that, you get knocked out. You have a plan. So I'm still military. And this plan is going to be 3 phases. Phase 1, verification of the Hawaiian Kingdom as an independent state. We need verification from an international body. Not from us believing it, even though it has it in our history. I need this to be verified, not recognized, verified. So I'm not seeking recognition of the Hawaiian Kingdom. No, I'm seeking verification of the Hawaiian Kingdom status as an independent state. Once we get verification, then we move to phase 2, exposure. Expose it militarily, economically, academically, historically, any lead we expose. Because this is where the theory comes. This is, let's say, Hawaii's a little piece of rock. Okay, and this is the United States, a big strong hand. 1898 Spanish-American War, we're like that. We're occupied. And they had us believe with a 50th finger. No, we're in the hand. It's called occupation. How do you get this very strong hand to release the rock? Heat the rock. Heat it. Exposure. Yeah? It's called turn on the light. When you turn on the light, what happens when you touch the light bulb? You get burned. When you start to talk about Hawaii's history, you start to get very uncomfortable. Oh my God. Oh, see? You're feeling the heat. That's good. Just back off. Use the light. Don't get burned. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. We need to expose. And then, naturally, when you expose it and everybody is caught in it, everybody wants to fix the problem. How do we fix it? See, now you own the problem because you feel it. Okay? Not collectively, individually. And verification came at the Permanent Court of Arbitration that took place from 1999 to 2001. This was a case, Larson versus Hawaiian Kingdom. And this is the Permanent Court of Arbitration and the International Court of Justice. This is a peace palace. So right here, under this steeple, is the Permanent Court of Arbitration that was established in 1899, Hague Convention. Then over here, you have the International Court of Justice, created in 1945, United Nations Charter, which succeeded the Permanent Court of International Justice, which was the League of Nations. You cannot access that court unless you're a country. Yeah, you cannot. How did we get there? When Hawaii is supposedly a 58th state. Well, this guy, Lance Larson, actually was arrested and was incarcerated for 30 days, 7 days solitary confinement for following Hawaiian law. His attorney, a real attorney, not read a book, think you attorney, a real attorney, came after the acting government for not protecting him. Because if you claim to be the acting government, you're supposed to be responsible for acknowledging and protecting the rights of your nationals. And we went, you're right. We're responsible, but we're not liable. The United States is. They're the ones supposed to be administering Hawaiian law under the laws of occupation. We're just here exposing it. Yeah. So we ended up going to the Permanent Court of Arbitration, where we're the defendants in this case. We've got to defend ourselves. Now, we don't have to say nothing, because we're defendants. Lance Larson's attorney got to prove that she can sue the acting government. And what was at issue here was whether or not Lance Larson can sue the acting government without the United States involved in the arbitration. The reason is because the United States was the one who violated his rights, not us. So it's a tort. This is like a tort case. Okay? So it's like, imagine me and Joe get into a fight over here. He's bigger than me. He's called America. He kicks my butt right over here. I know I can't sue him because he's not going to come into the court. So guess who I'm going to sue? The county of Hawaii, who owns this place. They're responsible. That's a tort. The question before the court was, if they're going to sue the Hawaii County, I need Joe involved because he's the one got to answer to my violations, not Hawaii County. Nobody was here. Does that make sense? That's called a tort case. That's a tort. That's what happened up there.